Yesterday, Sayadaw explained how Vipassana jhana arises from both theoretical and practical aspects. Noting the object that arises due to the favorable circumstances, observing these objects, observing their characteristics closely are called jhana. Observing closely these objects, one discerns nama, rupa, and as one continues the practice, when viriya, sati and samadhi, effort, mindfulness and concentration are strong, then the noting mind becomes concurrent with the object and the yogi's noting becomes effective. And the yogi discerns the characteristics of impermanent suffering and non-self, which are common to the nama rupa. And yogi comes to discern the arising and passing away of the objects. Yogi comes to know that arising and passing away are constantly tormenting. And yogi also comes to know that things are arising in its own accord. It is beginning of the Vipassana jhana. One begins to develop the insight knowledge. So at this stage where the yogi discerns the arising and passing away of the objects, there are reflections. Reflections arise in the person. As the objects arise and pass away continuously, as the objects arise and pass away, as they arise in their own accord, then there is a deduction that in the past these objects arise and pass away, they arise in their own accord, and in the future as well, they will be the same. These objects will keep on arising, passing away. Arising and passing away will be tormenting, and these objects are arising in their own accord. Discerning directly the arising and passing away, it is paccaka jnana, direct experiential knowledge. Deducing or knowing by inference, it is anumana jnana, or in other words, it is anvaya jnana, knowledge through deduction or inference. So, based on the characteristics, the person discerns directly the characteristics of impermanent suffering and non-self. Based on this direct experiential knowledge, paccaka jnana, there will also be anvaya jnana, or in other words, anumana jnana, knowledge by deduction or inference, that these objects are arising, passing away in one's life, and it will be the same in others. Other beings will also have these objects arising and passing away. And based on paccaka jnana, direct experiential knowledge, there will be inference and deduction that it will be the same in other beings. So having a lot of reflection, there will be vichara, and if the yogi is reflecting much, the person will lose to note the presently arising object. So his or her noting mind will not be concurrent with the object as he, she is reflecting. So when that happens, when there is much of reflection, then the person misses or fails to note. and the meditation teacher will advise the yogi not to be reflecting, but she should be noting the presently arising object. So the meditation teacher will encourage the yogi to keep on noting the presently arising object rather than reflecting, so that Vipassana jnana, insight knowledge, will improve. As the yogi continues the practice as the guidance given by the teacher to be mindful of the presently arising object, then Vitakka and Vichara will get less and less, and Vitakka Vichara has no chance to arise. So at that stage, yogi becomes skillful in the practice. So just like playing darts, as the player becomes skillful in throwing darts, the dart is automatically aimed at the target. So in the same way, when the yogi becomes skilled in the practice, the noting mind becomes automatically aimed or directed onto the object without having to aim deliberately. So at this stage, yogi discerns the fast arising and passing away of even the minute object, and piti, sukha and ekaggata, joy, happiness and one-pointedness arises. When discerning the fast arising and passing away of the object, there will be balava piti, strong joy. And at this stage, yogi feels levitating, the body feels very light, as if floating in air. So at this stage, the experiences are good, and yogi feels happy with the practice that yogi does not even want to open the eyes. At this stage, yogi feels much comfort. There is much comfort in the sitting, and yogi feels joy, happiness, and the mind becomes calm, collected, unified. So at this stage, the practice is endowed with three factors: piti, sukha and ekaggata, joy, happiness, and one-pointedness. And thus, at this stage of Udayabbaya jnana, one is in the stage of Dutiya jhana, the second Vipassana jhana. Discerning the characteristics of impermanent suffering non-self, one gains Paccaka jnana, direct experiential knowledge through the practice. What one has heard before is discerned directly through his or her practice, and the person comes to acceptance when she develops knowledge. So faith and confidence become stronger, and the person comes to accept, confirm, and decide that this practice is right. Before one gains knowledge, one has not fully accepted yet, but by discerning by himself, by herself, developing knowledge, the person's faith and confidence become stronger. As the faith and confidence become stronger, the person becomes even more courageous. The person becomes courageous that the person can even challenge the pain and discomfort that can arise by longer sitting. As the person exerts courageous effort, then there will not be any missing or failing, but mindfulness sits onto the object, and the quality of sati, mindfulness, becomes strong, and it becomes satipatthana, firmly established mindfulness. As mindfulness becomes stronger, the mind becomes more calm and collected. Samadhi concentration becomes stronger. Just as when the person gets vitamins, the physical body becomes healthy, fresh, and strong. In the same way, when these Dhammoja, the Dhamma nutriments, arise in the mind, then the mind becomes developed, cultured, pure, clean, and strong, and the person gains happiness. So at this stage of discerning the fast arising and passing away, yogi develops more faith and confidence. His or her faith and confidence become increased and mature. At this stage, the person exerts more effort in the practice. Effort becomes amazingly strong as well. And as the effort becomes amazingly strong, the person's mind sticks on the object. And as the mindfulness is strong, yogi comes to discern even the minute details. Knowledge arises discerning the minute details. When Vipassana jnana starts to arise, there consists of the jhanic factors of vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha, and ekaggata, initial application, sustained application, joy, happiness, and one-pointedness. Having these jhanic factors, nirvana, hindrances, has no chance to arise. Each of these jhanic factors dispel its opposite, nirvana, hindrances. So at that stage, vitakka and vichara, these two jhanic factors become strong, and there will be vivekata sukha, happiness of seclusion, being secluded bodily, as well as there will be seclusion of the mind, as the mind is free from the nirvana hindrances. Leaving behind the kama, leaving behind the sensual world, coming to the field of Dhamma, there will be nikkama sukha, happiness of renunciation. Based on the happiness of renunciation, nikkama sukha, as the yogi becomes skilled in the practice, there will be vivekata sukha, happiness that is born of seclusion of both the mind and there will be paviveka sukha, happiness being free from hindrances. As the mind is being free from the impurity, the happiness is pure, and it is not the dangerous kind of happiness, but it is the kind of happiness that is pure. So at this stage, yogi builds up more faith and confidence in the practice. Gaining the benefit of practice, yogi has more faith and confidence in the method of practice. And also, the person also has faith and confidence in the Buddha who led this way of Dhamma practice. Even if the person did not believe in Buddhism, but at this stage of practice, the person comes to have faith and confidence in the Buddha who led the way of Dhamma practice as he, she discerned through his direct experiential practice. Discerning the fast arising and passing away, the tender stage of Udayabbaya jnana has developed. At this stage, at the tender stage of Udayabbaya jnana, among the 37 Bodhipakkhiya Dhamma, among the 37 requisites of enlightenment, the 7 bojjhanga, the 7 factors of enlightenment, are fulfilled. Sati becomes very outstandingly good quality mindfulness, and yogi can note even the small details without missing, without failing, with sustained mindfulness. As much there is sustained mindfulness, there will be Dhamma Vicaya Sambojjhanga, the factor of enlightenment, the investigation, Dhamma Vicaya Sambojjhanga, investigation of the states as the factor of enlightenment. At this stage, the 3 stages of effort are asserted: initial effort, step-up effort, effort stage by stage, until one finally reaches the goal. As the person asserts these efforts stage by stage, there will be arata viriya, diligent effort, and also the effort gains momentum, so that the effort will not deteriorate, it will not stagnate in the middle, but it will be uplifted. Viriya Sambojjhanga, the effort as the factor of enlightenment, is also developed. And the yogis also develop the piti, joy, becoming joyous, and there will be piti sambojjhanga, joy as the factor of enlightenment. At this stage, there will not be restlessness and worry. Both the mind and the body feel tranquil, and there will be tasati sambojjhanga, tranquility as the factor of enlightenment. Khanika samadhi, momentary concentration, becomes strong. The mind falling calm, collected, unified on the object, and there will be samadhi sambojjhanga, concentration as the factor of enlightenment. And at this stage, saddha and panya, confidence and knowledge becomes balanced. Viriya and samadhi, effort and concentration also become balanced, and the yogi can note with comfort, with ease and comfort, yogi can note with ease. And tatra majjhatata, the tranquility, the equanimity as the factor of enlightenment also develops. So bojjhanga, meaning the factor of enlightenment or the factor of the person who gains enlightenment, these factors will be fulfilled. At this stage, the Dhamma practice has gained momentum, and the blood circulation in the body will be good, and the person becomes serene, clear. His body and the mind becomes clear, and there will be illumination of the body, and it is called obhasa illumination. The illumination in the body arises based on the parami, perfection of the person, as well as the diligent effort of the yogi. So based on the person's diligent effort and the parami, the illumination can pervade in the body, or the illumination pervades the whole room, or the illumination pervades the whole building. And Sayadaw will not explain in detail about it. And knowledge, jnana, becomes amazingly strong. Piti, joy, rapture arises, and there will be lack of restlessness and worry. There will be passaddhi, tranquility, and also lightness, agility, malleability, proficiency also arises. There is also sukha, happiness, and adhimokkha, resolute faith that this path is right. And bhagaha, there will be assertion, effort, upadana, sustained mindfulness, upekkha, equanimity, and nikanti, the minor attachment. And these 10 imperfections of Vipassana arise. Among the 10 kinds of imperfection, there is jnana, and this jnana associates with Vipassana, discerning defects arising and passing away. And the person discerns the suffering, impermanent suffering, and non-self. And one understands that things do not happen according to one's wishes. So at this stage, the discerning of the arising and passing away of the nama rupa become very sharp and strong. So at this stage, knowledge is compared to a very sharp knife. Just as a very sharp knife can cut things very sharply, in the same way, at this stage, the knowledge becomes very sharp and very clear-cut. At this stage, knowledge becomes very clear and sharp, and the person does not miss or fail to note anything. And also, the pollutants that pollute the mind are no longer present. And based on whatever the nama rupa arise, there will be Vipassana Bhumi, the land of knowledge, based on whatever the nama rupa that has been noted. As the yogi practices day and night, knowledge develops. There will not be restlessness or worry. There is no heaviness, but there will be lightness. And the yogi feels weightless of both the body and the mind. There will not be grossness, but there will be malleability, and yogi feels as if sitting on a very soft cotton, and yogi feels very light. At this stage, there is no difficulty or hindrances whatsoever, and the noting becomes active, and no sickliness. In the beginning of the practice, yogi feels sickly with the practice, and at this stage, there will not be any sickness. And also, there will be no pretending or no deceiving. And yogi shows the uprightness. So before the practice, there may be some pretending or some weaknesses, as the person may not admit or confess to the teacher or to confess to oneself. But at this stage of practice, there will be ujuka, one becomes uprighted, and one even confesses of his or her wrongdoings to the teacher, whatever she had done wrong in the past. And some people, they even confess if they have taken life of a human being. There will be no secret. The person will keep away, and she starts to confess his or her wrongdoing. At this stage, the beautifying mental factors are fulfilled. The mental factors that beautify the mind will arise. At this stage, both the mind and the body, there is lightness, elasticity, adaptability, proficiency, and uprightness. And as the yogi is being protected, supported by the lightness, elasticity, adaptability, proficiency, and uprightness, yogi experiences the Dhamma happiness, amanusivrati, the delight or the happiness that is not matched by the worldly happiness. And Buddha praised as amanusivrati, the happiness that excels many times than the worldly happiness. At this stage, yogi develops knowledge into fast arising and passing away, and the mind becomes pure. The mind becomes developed from small to big, from tender to ripe, from less to many, and the developed mind becomes overwhelming, pure and clean. At this stage, yogi experiences the Dhamma happiness that excels many times than the sensual happiness. So, yogi feels disgusted with the sensual happiness. The worldly happiness is impure, which is compared to feces, and such kind of worldly sensual happiness are dangerous and fatal. At this stage of practice, both the mind and the knowledge becomes amazingly developed, cultured, and increased, and yogi gains unique, unrelinquishable happiness. Giving up the worldly field, coming to the center, there is nikkama sukha, happiness of renunciation. Practicing alone, there will be paviveka sukha, happiness of seclusion. And as the mind is free from nivarana, hindrances, there will be more paviveka sukha, happiness of seclusion. The defilements, such as not knowing, will be removed. There will not be raga, dosa, or moha, and thus there will be upasama sukha, happiness, being calm away from the defilements. And the happiness, Dhamma happiness, arises in great momentum that cannot be matched by the sensual, human, or deva happiness and thus it is called Amanusi Rati. And to which kind of person this kind of happiness arises? Samma Dhamma Vipassato, the person who is mindful of the Nama Rupa that is arising at the present moment, practicing correctly, one gains this unique happiness. Sannasiddhasa bhikkhuno, by being mindful of the presently arising object, with sustained mindfulness, the mind is calm and collected, away from the agitation of raga, dosa, moha, and thus the mind is peaceful, away from the agitation of defilements. There will be tadanga sandhi, momentary peace. Sonyakaram pavittasa, as the yogi approaches the place where there is seclusion from the companionship of person or being, there will be viveka sukha, happiness of seclusion. In one place, Buddha praises piti as yato yato samasati khandana Udayabbaya labati piti pamoja amatanta vijanata. By being mindful of the Nama Rupa at the moment of arising, discerning the arising and passing away of these Nama Rupa, the person gains minor joy as well as the stronger joy. And especially there will be Balava Piti, strong joy. Strong joy arises when the noting mind is direct or face to face with the object, and there will be the jhana. And yesterday Sarati explained by giving the example of stitching two pieces of cloth together with the needle and the thread. The needle pierces through the two pieces of cloth, the thread follows, keeping the two pieces of cloth firmly, strongly binded, and the person feels happy to see the straight line of neatly stitched seam. So in the same way, noting the object with aim and effort, when there is initial application, sustained application, there will be joy. When discerning the arising and passing away of the Nama Rupa. And at this stage it is said that the person reaches the deathlessness. So at this stage, yogi will not withdraw from the practice. She will pursue the practice till gaining Sambodha Sukha, the happiness of gaining knowledge which has guarantee. Even if the person has to go due to the worldly matters, but the person will be determined to continue the practice till she reaches the goal. That's why this joy, piti, is praised as amata, deathlessness, as the person getting this stage will not give up the practice till the person reaches the Nibbana. So among the two types of jhana, Aramanupanijhana, the observing of the object, which is concept, one can only gain Nikkama Sukha, happiness of renunciation, and Paviveka Sukha, happiness of seclusion. But through the practice of Aramanupanijhana, one cannot gain Upasama Sukha, happiness of being free from the defilement, and Sambodha Sukha, one cannot gain the happiness of gaining knowledge through the practice of Aramanupanijana. Thus, one will be reborn, there will be rebirth, and there will be more death. And if the death is no good, there will also be lower existences. So one should compare the benefits of Samatha jhana and Vipassana jhana. And usually the Westerners, they are interested in the Samatha jhana, the tranquility practice, but the happiness that the Samatha jhana can give will only be Nikkama Sukha and Viveka Sukha that has no guarantee. And Saraji will continue to explain tomorrow. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.